Hi, everyone. Welcome back to No Time for Neutral. I'm your host, Georgie Hawthorne, and I'm the social media manager for the Montana Democratic Party. I'm going to spend the next half hour, 45 minutes telling all of you and my co-host, Andy Nelson here, everything that's happened in Montana and DC politics in the last week. But Andy over here is a self-proclaimed optimist, and so he's going to try to convince me and the rest of us that we don't actually live in the bad place.
I'll do my best.
But we have a ton of stuff to cover today, so we are going to get this week's call to action right out from the jump. So after the passage of the big ugly bill, Montana could be facing a budget shortfall for a program called SNAP. We've talked about SNAP a little bit before, but in case anyone missed it, it's a food assistance program for low-income folks. There's over 80,000 Montanans or so that are on this program right now, and about 30,000 of them are at risk of losing their coverage. And now that this is a state budget problem, that means it's a Governor Gianforte problem. So we're asking everyone this week to give the governor a ring, tell him to prioritize SNAP funding in the budget. His phone number is 406-444-3111. Again, that's 406-444-3111. Well, Andy, it seems like the hot Montana news last couple of weeks has to be the presence of ice in Helena. Did you see some of this? It happened right before 4th of July weekend.
Yeah, I've been seeing it all over the place. This is horrifying. What's going on, Georgie?
So a man, his name is Christopher Martinez, he was pulled over by Helena PD for expired plates as Helena PD, in collaboration with ICE, was trying to execute a warrant. So from my point of view, what happened is they were driving down the street, saw a brown man who looked like the guy they were trying to arrest, and said, "Oh, and he has expired plates, let's pull him over." And so that's what they did. He had no ID on him, and so once they found out he didn't have a driver's license, they asked him to get out of the car, put him in handcuffs, and he was detained until police could ID him. And some recent body cam footage that was released by the Montana Free Press, it's still up on their website if anyone is curious to go watch the full thing. You watch a Helena police officer go through the process with dispatch of IDing this man. Once they have a positive ID and that he's not the man that this warrant is attached to, they write him a ticket, probably for driving without a license. And you hear the Helena police officer go, "We're pretty much all good here," or something along those lines. He goes back in the car for a while, and you can watch Martinez and one of the ICE officers walk around the edge of the frame, and that's really all you see. And so he gets out of the car, and he's like, "Hey, what's going on?" And actually, I'll just roll the clip.
Are you guys detaining him separate from the traffic stop?
Yeah, he's like getting deported.
Okay.
Honestly,
I mean, I was pretty confident that was it, but
take care. So yeah, he's being kidnapped right now.
okay. Good enough for me.
Same card.
That's insane. Like, I seriously can't believe it's happening here in Montana. I mean, I can believe it because Donald Trump's our president, but
No, right.
I'm angry.
Because you see the mask around his neck. If it's not up in that part of the video, you watch them laugh and joke and smile and literally use the phrase "getting kidnapped" as a joke. I don't know where to start because this is something that we've seen on social media, but it's been happening in bigger places like LA or Chicago or big cities. Things like that don't happen in Helena, Montana.
What can we do to help people that are becoming victims of this? If it's going to happen here close to home in our backyards, what can we do to help?
Well, I'll say Helena residents knocked it out of the frickin' park. Helena residents caught wind of the arrest. Well, a lot of them watched the arrest go down. It happened in broad daylight in the middle of Helena on one of the busiest streets in town. But once people got word of the arrest, there were people who immediately went to the detention center to try to connect him to lawyers, to try to make sure that his due process rights were being respected, so on and so forth. So I don't know what the situation is there. I don't know if they have a rapid response group. I don't know if that's just how fast Montanans work when they're pissed off, because that's a reality too. But then there was a public comment opportunity later on in the week, and Helena really showed out for that too. They were like, "Hey, why are we even working with ICE in the first place? Don't love that our police is working with ICE and Border Patrol. Why did this happen? Why did you arrest a man simply because he was brown? Those kinds of questions. And I think that kind of accountability is what we have to have. And it has to come from the local level like that, because that's your town.
Right.
That's your police.
Right.
That is your neighbor.
Well, good job, Helena people, for showing up and fighting for your community members like that.
Hell yeah, Helena.
Yeah. And I mean, I would say this is probably another opportunity that we as Montanans can write our representatives and tell them that
Yeah.
we're not okay with ICE kidnapping our neighbors.
Yeah, absolutely. The other thing that folks might have missed in Montana political news is a couple of weeks ago, Montana Republicans held their state convention.
Yes. Spill the tea, George.
There is tea to spill because holy moly, they are fighting. The internal drama is so insane, but that's not the point here, I promise. So they get to this convention, and you want to know the first thing they do at this convention? They kick the non-moderates out of like their voting body. They say, nope, you're not a Republican anymore. You don't get to vote.
I should be surprised, but I'm not surprised.
Exactly. Even a couple of central committees or central committee members or something were like, hey, I don't know if we can do that. That feels like it goes against the rules. And because
And they're like, rules? What rules?
basically,
We
yeah,
don't follow the rules.
no, exactly. So they say, yeah, no, we're not following the rules, kick the 9 out. And when I say the 9, I mean the 9 moderate Republican legislators who were in the Montana legislative session who voted with Democrats on some issues.
Like
Not
Medicaid expansion.
like Medicaid expansion, like really important things for their constituents in a bipartisan way, not in a I'm becoming a Democrat way, in maybe people should have health care kind of way.
Right.
But so also at this convention, they elected a new state chair of the board, essentially the head Montana Republican for the party. Surprise! He's also a crook, just like our president.
Also a crook.
Also, I think it's a requirement to run for office and be a Republican at this point, is that you have to have some kind of like shady, potentially criminal background.
Well, I'll just repeat what I said. I should be surprised. I'm not surprised.
The bar is literally in hell. Yes. So Mr. Head Honcho Montana Republican, his name is Art Whittick. And he was in the legislature back from, I think it was 2010 to 2016. If my dates are wrong, you'll have to forgive me. I was suffering through middle school. He went to trial in, I believe, about 2015. And he was unanimously found guilty by a jury of accepting dark money from a group called the National Right to Work Committee. Essentially, they were giving him all of these free bonuses and benefits and all kinds of additional things for his campaigns that he wasn't having to pay for. And he ended up getting fined about $68,000 for it in the end.
Wow. Crazy.
Also, the National Right to Work Committee.
That means they're anti-union.
Yes, extremely anti-union. So that's who he was getting all of his money from. Court said, no. That's illegal. You can't do that. So that's where we started. In 2017, the Montana Supreme Court upheld the initial ruling. So he's still guilty of accepting dark money. And this guy, I think this guy was MAGA before MAGA existed.
That's saying something.
I mean, I was reading a really old article from like 2017 when the Supreme Court reaffirmed that he was calling it a witch hunt. Like he was saying like way back when this was all initially started that like Democrats were weaponizing the judiciary and literally like it's
Same talking point.
yeah, if you took Trump's judicial talking points right now, 10 years ago, it was this guy.
Got it.
So that's what we're working with.
Mm-hmm.
But he's also known for being pretty radical and pretty divisive. So that will be really interesting to watch move forward. Because when he was a sitting legislator, he worked with, I believe, the then speaker to push moderate Republicans out of the party.
Yeah.
Which is really ironic because the last action that the Montana GOP took before this guy took office was to push moderate Republicans out of the party. Because God forbid they hear a viewpoint other than Donald Trump's.
Wow. And so that means that the Montana Freedom Caucus is celebrating right now.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. They have gotten most of what they wanted. They excommunicated the 9. Gianforte vetoed all of the things they didn't want to see through in the first place. Like, they managed to take over that party. 4 years ago, they were the minority. When the Freedom Caucus became a thing, it was like 6 of them. And they have now forced it into being the entire Republican Party. Here in Montana, anyways.
Wow.
It's just, honest to God, feel bad for my reasonable Republican neighbors. I can't imagine that it is easy to watch a group that you used to resonate with and agree with and believe in and watch it just morph into this thing that is ugly and unrecognizable, and that has to be hard.
Yeah.
I
This isn't Reagan's Republican Party.
No,
No.
not at all.
It's not the party of fiscal conservative values. They literally just passed a massive bill, a big, ugly, horrible bill.
Yeah,
That's going to put the deficit over $3 billion higher.
right.
Um,
You want to talk about family values? They're out here electing criminals left and right. Huh?
yeah. Yeah, that's down the tubes as well. So, Georgie, I got to ask you something.
Hit me.
I've been hearing rumors that our tribal colleges may be in jeopardy because of this big, ugly bullshit bill
Yeah.
of Donald Trump's that recently passed. Can you fill me in on that?
Yeah. So true. That is true. I just want to say I have not looked up a headline since the start of this administration and found it to be wrong. There have been so many times where I've seen a headline where I'm like, that can't possibly be true. And then it is. And this is one of those headlines. Yes, Donald Trump has proposed a 90% cut to higher education funding on reservations, which is tribal colleges. The current budget is about 180 million or so, and that's nationally. That's across the country. 180 million for all of the tribal colleges. And they're cutting that budget to about 22 million. So it's a 90% cut.
That's incredibly racist.
Yeah, I don't really have any other words for it. Because, I mean, he's also leading this weird attack against Harvard, too. So maybe he just hates colleges in general. But Harvard has a really big endowment.
Yeah.
Like, sure, Congress is coming after it, whatever. They're going to be fine. Tribal colleges don't have an endowment to fall back on. They really, really heavily depend on this federal funding to keep the doors open, to keep the lights on. And the way that tribal colleges are structured, they are meant to make education accessible. And in order to make it accessible, it has to be inexpensive. So tuition rates are a lot lower on for tribal colleges than they are at normal universities. So with this cut, we're either going to see doors close, we're going to see potentially tuition rates going up, lower incoming classes, because it's possible that they'll have to cap classes. Like, you can only accept however many students a semester. And it's just going to make getting education for kids on the res so much harder.
That's devastating. I know. I mean, I've lived in Montana for 32 years, and I've known many friends and family that have gone to tribal colleges. And there's such a asset to Montanans and the people that live here and on the reservations and tribal communities. And the fact that he's cutting the funding for our educational programs by 90%, it's a slap in the face.
Yeah,
Really.
honestly, because these colleges are such cornerstones of their communities. They're massive employers in the area. So you're like, if a tribal colleges close, you're going to see a loss of jobs. You're going to see a loss of economy. You're going to see a loss of culture, a loss of community, because you no longer have the college. in that space, putting on trainings, doing shows, putting on events, giving people places to be, to learn. Those opportunities won't be around nearly as often, if they are at all, if these places close.
It's terrible.
I saw something that like 1 in 14 jobs in Blaine County are from the tribal college in the area. Like, that's the kind of economic cut we're talking here.
I believe it. I grew up right next to the Fort Peck Indian Reservation, and the Fort Peck Community College in Poplar employs so many people. And even those that aren't directly employed through the school are aligned in some way, like their job or profession may be adjacent to the school, works with the school. It's all part of the economy as well.
Right.
Like you said, it'll be devastating for those communities.
Absolutely. It's hard not to feel like this isn't targeted at Indigenous communities in particular, because like we've said, these schools are so crucial to these communities for a whole lot of social and cultural reasons, but also because nurses are important. And it's a lot easier to bite the bullet and go get your nursing degree if you can do it at home, because you have a school 5 minutes down the road. And so you don't have to worry about finding childcare for your kids or something like that. It's just right there. So you allow people to move forward and grow in these opportunities. And it allows these communities to do the same thing, to grow, to stabilize, to be independent. And without people to fill those gaps, people leave. And then you watch entire communities fall apart. And it's just heartbreaking.
Yeah, it's terrible. So what else is new, Georgie?
Oh my gosh, the held kids sued the federal government.
Oh, the Held versus Montana youngsters. Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
Love that.
quick refresher for anyone who's not familiar with the Held v. Montana case. There was a handful of Montana kids who sued the state over fossil fuel emissions, saying that the Montana Constitution says that I have the right to a clean and healthful environment, and because wildfire smoke and heat and snow and all of these things, it's preventing me from living my life the way that I am entitled to in the Constitution because of skiing and fishing and whatnot. Held v. Montana went through a couple of hearings. Montana Supreme Court ultimately said, you know what? You're right. The state doesn't get to do this. Big win for environmentalists. Big win for the state of Montana. Not the defendant, the state of Montana, but people who live here.
Future generations.
And future generations of Montanans. I believe that's currently on appeal to the big Supreme Court, but I'm not sure. But this new lawsuit that they are now involved in, the lead plaintiff is Eva Lighthizer. She's a 19-year-old out of Livingston. Her and 21 other kids across the country sued the federal government, mainly sued Donald Trump, over his executive orders to quote-unquote unleash American energy.
Gosh, I can't imagine a better feeling than to sue Donald Trump.
Dude, yeah. A 19-year-old girl taking it to Donald Trump is my favorite thing ever. I love that so much. So there are 10 Montana kids in this case, and then the other plaintiffs in the case are from places like Hawaii, Florida, Oregon, really pretty places that you like to be outdoors. And that's kind of the running theme, is that if you live somewhere where you're lucky enough to have the backyard that we do, you want to protect it. And as a fellow Gen Zer, warms my little heart to see us going after them like this. But so they're suing Donald Trump, saying, you know what? This kind of violates the separation of powers. This threatens my rights of life and liberty. I don't think this is constitutional, frankly. So these young adults, they're claiming that they've experienced emergency room trips because of like heat-induced sickness and wildfire smoke. They're saying it infringes on their ability to recreate and live their way of life. And these claims are all based on the fact that these executive orders essentially take chainsaw to climate science, or any science that might make the climate better. But it also cuts back on fossil fuel emissions and limits and regulations and all kinds of things when it comes to keeping fossil fuels out of our environment. And so this is a big win. However, there's a loss. AG Austin Knudsen, Montana's own, he's gotten involved. And let me tell you, he has beef with the held kids because he's mad that the held kids kicked his ass in court the first time around. And so now he's getting involved on Donald Trump's behalf, him and 18 other states, and they're trying to get involved in this case, saying, oh, no. As the places where this energy unleashing would happen, we're fine with it. The president gets to do whatever the president wants to do, essentially. So really horrible ramifications. But I do think it's a little funny that A.G. Knudsen is treating this like some petty middle school argument.
See, I don't understand why Attorney General Austin Knudsen is so upset about this, because he gets his ass kicked in court all the time.
Yeah. I think he's just salty. I think he's just tired of losing, mainly. And he thinks that if he throws his name behind Donald Trump's name, he'll get a win. I'm not hopeful for him. But I also don't trust the federal Supreme Court much at all right now either.
It's a bit stacked.
So this one is kind of a stay tuned. It's happening. A.G. Knudsen just put in the brief to intervene. So we'll see what happens with that in the coming weeks. But the first trial for this is going to be in the middle of September in Missoula. And we will know where it goes more from there.
All right. Good on you, kids. All right, Georgie, can we end this on a positive note?
Let's do it.
Okay.
I'm in a good mood today.
Great. I have to tell you about my weekend. We spent Saturday in Butte, America at the Montana Folk Festival.
Was it awesome?
So much fun.
I've never been to one.
For my Montana friends, you gotta go if you've never been to Butte for the Montana Folk Fest. It's 3 days of all kinds of great music and food. Some of my favorite groups I saw there was an all-female mariachi band.
What?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Texas. They were incredible. A Zydeco band from Louisiana. Oh my gosh. We ate Asian food. We ate Mexican food.
Oh, so they just had everything.
They had everything. We had so much fun. And Butte is such a fun place to be.
I've never not had fun in Butte.
Yeah. Definitely recommend.
Did you do anything on Sunday?
Yes. So got my fishing license. I haven't been fishing in a few years. So I figured I'd try my luck and went down to Georgetown Lake.
Nice.
So we parked. I was headed out there, met some people on the way, and they were like, the fishing's great. We hit our limit for the day. And so I get situated. Like, you can see the fish jumping out of the water.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm thinking, this is going to be a breeze.
Yep.
2.5 hours later, not a single bite.
Not a bite? Not even a touch?
Not even a touch.
I have really bad news for you.
What?
I went to Georgetown on Saturday. Granted, I was there for about 7 hours. And I'm very sunburnt still. But I did pull out a cutthroat about this big.
You gotta be kidding me.
I wish I was. I feel really bad.
No way.
Yes. And then I did nothing the rest of my weekend. I caught a big fish and that was it.
Oh my gosh. Well, good for you, Georgie.
Sorry.
Well, do you have any tips? Like, what's the best bait? Live bait?
See, you're going to make me expose myself. My boyfriend rigs my fly rod for me because I don't know how to tie the knots. So I actually have no idea what is on.
My boyfriend rigs the fly rod for me too. So,
so we're both screwed.
Yeah. All right.
All right. That's it. That's all. Call the governor and maybe go fishing this week.